Perfect. So I'm Wafi. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and they. I'm the city's diversity, equity, and inclusion specialist. I'm so happy all of you are joining us today. This role is new to the city, and I'm still learning how to navigate how this role will fit in the city's and the community's needs and serve you all the best that I can. One of the ways I thought we could do this is by engaging the community about social justice and social and racial justice efforts and how we can best do our part to start the conversation and get these things going. I'm thankful to John Milner from Communications, Patricia Morales, Community Programs Coordinator, our wonderful panelists, and AV Black Chamber of Commerce for helping me put this together, especially not even within 2 weeks, in less than 10 days. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to Patricia to get us started.
Once again, thank you, Wafi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm so excited. Like Wafi said, 10 days. But so just to give you a little background, Community Programs for the last 8 years has been putting together a season of service. Season of service is a season of about 6 months when Community Programs joins forces with the community to do service around in our community. So what better way to start the season of service than honoring Martin Luther King in his day and his memory by starting by going to our community and having our wonderful community share what they're doing to continue his great work and how we as the community as a whole can get right on board with that and how we can join forces with. So like Wafi said, 10 days later, we went out, she went out, we talked to the community, and here we are with a wonderful array of panelists that are going to be talking to you today. Thank you so much. Thank you, panelists, and I give it to you. Christian?
Sweet. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Happy MLK Day. I hope you all are doing amazing and, reflecting on the life, legacy, and light of MLK. We have some great, amazing panelists here. Can we give it up for the City of Palmdale for all the things that you have done? Thank you so much for hosting this. And also shout out to the Black Chamber of Commerce. For those that are attendees, I would love for you to type in the chat if you're from Lancaster, Palmdale. We want to make this as interactive as possible. That's what I like to do. By trade, I am a professor. I teach at Antelope Valley College. I teach ethnic relations. I'm a community organizer, activist, CEO, author, motivational speaker. The list goes on. Same thing with all of you. And so it is great for us to have these conversations about what is going on in America, but also like highlighting what's going on in the Antelope Valley. And we think that this is so critical because oftentimes we forget certain marginalized and oppressed groups to where these conversations need to be at the center of everything that we do, whether it's business, education, criminal justice reform, the list goes on. And so what I do with my classes, I usually start with all my classes is, and this ain't a class, but I always talk about the Declaration of Independence in regards to what was, I guess, written by our founding fathers. And it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with their certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When they were writing this, I don't believe that Black folks, women, and other Native Americans, Latinos was centered in these conversations. For the purpose of today, we're going to be highlighting the Black diaspora. And so we want to make sure that we talk about that, but we want to see, we want to make sure that we deal and understand that the effects of slavery still persist today. We can see this through colonialism, white privilege, institutional and systemic racism, police brutality. And there is no reason that in 2022 that Black folks are still dying at the hands of law enforcement and systemic racism. But we thank God for MLK. We thank God for his legacy. He was one of the greatest civil rights leaders to walk the face of the earth. And he fought for voting rights, he fought for economic freedom, political justice, and so much more. But as we reflect on the life and legacy of MLK, we must understand that the importance of growing as a whole and in growing as an entire community is to understand that all the work that MLK and all these other civil rights leaders did was to push for freedom. And what does that look like in the Antelope Valley? And MLK stated that there must be recognition on the part of everybody in this nation that America is still you know, a racist country. Now, we're going to talk about some radical views, but we also going to talk about the other side too. So I'm just going to talk about it, and we're going to be real. So in regards for us to talk about this, I would love for us to introduce our wonderful panelists, our beautiful panelists. I'm going to give about a minute for each panelist to talk. I'll call you out, and then you guys just introduce yourself, talk about your organization, and then we'll go from there. So I'll call off on Sylvia, by all means. Can't hear you, can't hear you. There we go.
Hi, there you go. Thank you. Hi, my name is Sylvia Garner, and I am a wife of a Marine Corps veteran. I am a mother, grandmother, author, keynote speaker, life coach, activist. I do a lot, but I'm also the owner of Pure Empowerment seminars, and we've been around since 2011. I hold workshops and seminars, and also I work with organizations such as the Teen Leadership Programs, Generational Leadership. I work with the PALs and SALs of California, which is the Police Activities League, and the Sheriff's Activities League, at-risk youth, as well as private companies. And in 2001, I began to also empower women and groups in Africa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sylvia. We're going to pass it over to Anicka.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to join this event today. My name is Anicka Phillips. I am a resident of the Antelope Valley. I am also a member of the Los Angeles County African American Employees Association. Joining me today is my co-host and president-elect Delora Ellis Gant. We are a professional development organization created to assist African American employees in Los Angeles County. And Delora is going to share a little bit more about who we are.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for having us. I'm Delora Ellis Gant, the president-elect for the Los Angeles County African American Employees Association, who we call or use the acronym of LACAAEA. And as Anicka has stated, we are dedicated to providing professional development for our 1,000 plus members that are employed with various county departments. But in addition to that, we are also dedicated to uplifting the culture of African Americans or Blacks in the community. We are really thinking that by informing individuals about our culture, we can eliminate biases. And we are dedicated also to eliminating the systemic racism that has occurred in this county. So we're very happy to be here. And I just want to say it is going to be a very engaging, informative day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We're going to pass it over to Miss Lauren.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lauren Lee. I'm a proud Palmdale native. This is my hometown. Go Antelope Valley, woo! I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a mentor and community builder. I advocate for the unification of all community relations. Professionally, I've crossed many paths in operational management, small business consulting, government-led programming, as well as I've led successful teams in the tax industry. My passions for the progression of Antelope Valley have really driven me to also forming my own businesses, Enterprise Solutions, which is a small business operational consulting firm, as well is a Peace and Love Foundation, which is my new baby here. I'll be launching spring of this year, but that is a peace advocacy foundation that basically is a community-based organization that provides sustainable partnerships and alliances with all progressive networks across the Antelope Valley. So I'm excited, I'm honored to be here. I'm also a director, proud director of the Antelope Valley Black Chamber of Commerce. So, you know, this is a pleasure, it's an honor. Like I said, I'm born and raised here. This is, for me, it's very monumental, and I'm excited. So thank you, it's a pleasure.
Awesome, awesome. Love the excitement. We're going to pass it over to Brother Ayinde. Brother Love.
All right, can you hear me all right? All right, perfect, cool. My name is Ayinde Love. I'm an activist, and I'm the founder of Gifted Arts and Activism. What we do is we create art that is centered around issues that are targeting 4 key areas for Black people, which is social, political, economic, and defense. What we do is we make art to make better understanding around those issues, and then we create campaigns in order to solve those issues. And I'm also on this panel, which is an honor for me. So I got a lot of cool people. Y'all got some resumes on y'all, man. I like that. So
you right up there too. There you go.
Yeah, that's it for me. I appreciate y'all having me on here. And then yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And last but not least, brother Arthur Calloway, second.
How everybody's doing. Appreciate the invitation. Thank you all for inviting me to this wonderful panel of people in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. I'm very, very much excited to get to talk about the true meaning. A lot of times we say that about all the other holidays, but I think we do not say it enough about MLK Day. The true meaning of MLK Day being civic engagement and for empowerment of Black people. I'm gonna just say the title that matters in this one is Chair of the AV Black Chamber. I would like to also say that the President, Cedric White, is definitely the reason that I'm here and brought me on board, because we just like making sure that Black businesses has all the resources, because all the resources that they deserve and should be able to get. And it's really hard because Black businesses are really at the bottom of most of all the statistics that there is for business. So they need to be propped up and helped out as much as possible to make sure that equity is had by everyone. Thank you, Christian, for being a great mentor and doing everything that you do. And
Yes,
that nice haircut you got there, the faded in, nice for the day.
Behave. Yes, sir. Thank you all. Shout out to my barber. But anyways, we are going to go dive right into it. Thank you all for your introductions. And also just those that are in the attendees, those that are attending. You can ask questions throughout in the chat. Also, we'll have a Q&A answer forum at the end. But right away, for you guys as panelists, I'm not going to call on you all. If you just want to just go right at it, by all means. But have you seen, and I want you to reflect on MLK Jr.'s beliefs and vision as we've grown up, as we've been educated, as we have read and been empowered through his vision. I would love for us to talk about, have you seen his vision, his beliefs come to fruition in the Antelope Valley? I want you to think about it. Anybody that want to tackle it, by all means, go ahead, unmute yourself, and then we'll dive right into it. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Okay, so I don't know, I might be the person that have lived here the least amount of time, but I'd like to start with a quote. And Dr. King said, "Creative power can pull down mountains of evil and level hilltops of injustice." And for me, having been here for 11 years, I can see changes from the 11 years that I've been here. And during my time, I've seen more organizations being created, as well as merging to create a genuine equality in the area. I've seen movements of our people run for things like mayor, senators, and other offices, as well as sitting on school boards and water district boards, and talks about sitting on different boards. So one of the things that I learned from Dr. King and others is that we can't change the system from the outside. We have to be a part of it. So I'm glad that I'm here to witness our people being a part of that change.
Thank you, Ms. Sylvia.
And I would actually like to piggyback on what Sylvia said. Sylvia, I am actually the person with the least amount of residents in the Antelope Valley. I bought a house here a year and a half ago, so I'm very new, like newborn new. But being here in the Antelope Valley, I personally have seen great diversity. I can't speak to what it was in the past, but I can only speak to what I have witnessed in the year and a half. And participated in community events at my local parks, and even going to the Christmas event down at the Boulevard. There was so much diversity. I saw Black businesses, I saw Hispanic businesses, I saw Black churches. So I felt good knowing that I was leaving South Los Angeles and moving to a place where it felt like everyone just got along. There was no drama in my eyes, and there still isn't. Like the park in my neighborhood, they hosted an event not too long ago, and it was just so peaceful, and everyone came out, and I was so happy just to see all of the different nationalities enjoying themselves and mingling and fellowshipping together. It's great. I personally do feel that Dr. King's vision, when he spoke about it at his speech in 1963, we have come a long way. You know, we're no longer entering into restaurants through a separate Black only door, nor are we drinking out of Black only water fountains. You know, we can all fellowship together. Do we still have room to grow? Yes, but we have made great strides, and I'm happy to be in the Antelope Valley. I think it's cool. I always tell my friends in LA, it's like I left California, but I didn't leave California. So I see it.
Thank you. Arthur?
So yes, I think it's very, I love the Antelope Valley. I've been here since 2008. And when I think of the vision of Dr. King and what he wanted, I mean, I always think that the majority of the time you'll be able to see some sort of progress in relation to being lynched and having separate water fountains and all that stuff. But it's just, honestly, we're in Antelope Valley. We have the highest rate of foster children. We have the highest rate of homelessness. We have the highest rate of a lot of different things that should not be the highest rate amongst the Black community, maternal death, all those things. I definitely think that as time progressed, we obviously have gotten more diverse. It used to be a very small, the boom happened very recently in the late 70s, I think. But we can't, I want to make sure that while we say that we have progressed the amount that we have progressed, that we understand that Sun Village was a place where you were redlined if you were Black just in the late 80s. As far as being an Black engineer coming to Plant 42, there's a lot of history here, a lot of, and I think that the progress that needs to be made is to actually talk about those things and the relation of today, that we're still at the bottom of every stat as Black and brown people, so that we can make sure to uplift Black and brown people with the resources that are available, obviously, to everybody else.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arthur. Anybody else want to chime in? Ayinde, Ms. Ellis, or Lauren?
Yeah, I'll jump in there too. Unless somebody, I wasn't sure if anybody else want to jump before those ladies.
Oh, you got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that like Dr. King stood for had to do with like political fronts. So he led a movement, and I think in terms of the dream and what he was talking about in terms of equality had to do with not just us coming here and seeing diversity within like a sense of like, okay, here's what a power structure looks like or what we're used to. And I think that a lot of the times for Black people, what we do is we take what we're used to, which means that every job that we go to, every like sense of management or power structure always is like a white power structure. It's typically there by white men, dominated, ran, and conducted, orchestrated by white men. So then when we see another person in that position, we say it's diverse. Where I think where true diversity will truly like be represented is not just diversity of color, not just Black people, but Black people who represent the interests of Black people as well. So a lot of the times when we esteem people into these positions, what we do is we esteem them into the position based off of the security that we feel, based off of what we have laid out to be normal thus far. So we're used to things being ran this way. So we get a Black person in that position that can still run things the same way that the white person was before. And I think that in order for us to get to where we need to be, we need we need Black people in these positions of power politically, the same way that Dr. King was trying to issue out equality through a nonviolent movement, because he had the power structure of the political front as well. So I think that true diversity is going to kick in when we actually have the ability to have the diversity within thought, not just within color, but Black people who represent what it means to be Black fully for our experiences, and not just for the safety of what other people who are looking on us believe us to be.
Love that. Absolutely. I love the fact that you talked about the power structure. Did someone else want to chime in, Ms. Lauren, or? Okay.
I mean, I just 100% agree with what everyone said. I mean, while we have made huge strides, there is a lot of groundwork still to be made. And then in regards to, you know, while we are integrated, is it equal? Is there equitability within the you know, communities that we live in? And, you know, I'd have to candidly and wholeheartedly say no. You know, within the City Council, Economic Development, Rec and Culture, City Manager's Office, we need more diversity in decision makers. You know, it's just as simple as that. So, you know, I 100% agree. We've made the strides. There's change that has been made. Like I said, I'm born and raised, I'm 33 years old. I was here from my education, elementary to high school. I went to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee for about 10 years. Once I matriculated for college, came back about 5 years ago. And I see a difference, you know, I do see a difference in the people that live here. It's very diverse, but the face of the community is not being seen within the organizational structures and the city structures. I would like to see that more. So thank you.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that. Keep it real. Ms. Ellis, are we okay?
So I'm okay with Anicka's response for us because I don't live in the Antelope Valley.
Okay.
I have 56 years living all of it in South Central Los Angeles.
Love it. Love South Central. Come on. Okay. Well, you know, I think you guys hit on a couple of things. We also need to look at the political structure, looking at the diversity within that, equity and inclusion, but then also looking at you know, Black folks actually representing Black folks and the thoughts. And so while we're getting them into office, or while they're leading these different organizations, we want to make sure that they are representing all of the different, because being Black is not monolithic. So you have all these different diversities, you know, in the intersections of race, sex, you have gender, you have political, you have all these different things. And so we want to make sure that we tie those all in when we're thinking about what does Martin Luther King's dreams and beliefs looks like in 2022. My next question, I'm going to put them into two. What has your organization done to move these beliefs, to move this dream forward? And then also, how can the community support you in this cause? It's a twofold question. I would love Anicka and Ms. Ellis to start that off. I called you out, sorry.
Okay, Christian, so we will take the lead on that. LACAAEA, our movement is more so in the realm of Los Angeles County employees. So we stand forth, and what we put forth are professional development programs, resume writing, civil service exam preparations, mock interviews, because for LACAAEA, it's important to make these type of seminars available for African-American LA County employees, but for our community as well. We cannot have a greater voice if we are not sitting in those seats. So if within, you know, public sector, there are not a lot of African-Americans, then how can we say we're moving forward and we're doing anything? So LACAAEA does its part in holding these different seminars. We also promote the different job opportunities that are available throughout Los Angeles County. So that is our contribution to what we feel we can do for our community to advance and increase the representation of African Americans. But we have to own that responsibility. Like, we can only do so much. As an individual, you got to attend a seminar. As an individual, you got to go get that education, because as of late, it's been this whole thing that a college degree, it's not important. Like, we don't put any emphasis on that. But if you want these political seats, sometimes you do need to go and take some classes to learn about American politics, maybe learn about business. So it all falls back on the individual, in my viewpoint. So I'll pass it over to Dolores so that she may add anything to it, because I'll get to ranting on.
Thank you, Anicka. And she's absolutely right. So Los Angeles County, as you guys know, is one of the top employers in the nation. We have over 100,000 employees countywide, of which only about 19,000 of them are African American. And sadly to report, only about 5,200 are African American men. So what we are dedicated, as Anicka was saying, to the professional development of the members that are there, but also informing the community of the availability of jobs for those that would like to come on board. We try to onboard them, we try to educate them, we try to elevate them, we try to prepare them to know that you are supported if you would like this avenue to support your families. So as Anicka said, and we only have 1 minute, I think, we are doing those seminars, and we are reaching out to make sure that individuals know that county employment is available. And as Arthur was stating and sharing those statistics about the foster care and the houselessness and things of that nature, we do know this about county employment. Now, it's not for everybody, but it should be available for everybody. And that was the dream of Dr. King, where we would end some of these discrimination about what positions we could hold, where we could sit. And we do need to diversify the leadership and the thought process, because we are serving a large population of African Americans in this county, and we need people to serve our people that understand our people. Amen. And so we are asking that the community, especially this community, raise the voice for those that are unemployed or just want to change in a career to consider Los Angeles County as an employer. I said we were top. They said 139 on the Forbes list. So what we do is promote that and let everyone know that there's opportunities for that, and also try to get them in those seats where the change could be made.
And just a quick plug, LACAAEA is hosting a resume seminar this coming Saturday. It is free. Check out our Eventbrite's page, LACAAEA. It's free. If you are looking to tweak your resume, are you looking to hire someplace else, check us out. We are here for our people.
Love that, love that. And I think we can pass that out, Wafika, if you send us the flyer and we can send it out to all the registrants. Okay, perfect. Arthur, and then Sylvia.
So yeah, I want to say that the chamber, the reason that I got on board when Cedric asked me to is to try to make sure that everybody understands, like, it's not always about the individual too. There's always two sides. When you've been enslaved for 300 years, told not to read, told that you're not a person, and then put in neighborhoods that are rampant with criminal activity, not due to the people, but due to the lack of resources given to that community, then that is the reason why we have to do things like what the Black Chamber does. And I have things in the evening time. I've gone to people's members' houses to teach them Facebook marketing, because Black people are usually owner operators, which means that you're at work all day, working all day. Then you have to still do the soccer. Then you still have to do the partner duties. You still have to do anything and all those things, and you haven't been trained. There's other demographics that have had family businesses for 200 years because they were allowed, had property in their family because they were allowed. So we need to make sure that, you know, that we don't always put the onus on the people who have been oppressed for the longest. We need to make sure that they have the resources at times that are easily accessible. We need to make sure that we're talking to the community and making sure that we're sending out that information so that they can have access to it. We need to really do a 360 whole support to make sure that when we lift up the community that has been oppressed the longest, and Black women being the ones that are at the bottom of most of the list, even beyond just Black men. Black women are at the bottom of all the list, the last to be able to vote, the last in line for everything. If we lifted up Black women, we lift up the entire nation. That was Martin Luther King's vision, is that if we lift up the bottom, we lift up everyone. When you are on that sports team, that NFL team, and you have the person that is that doesn't catch as many passes, if you get that person to catch the average amount of passes, then your whole team is able to prosper because of that. I just want to make sure that when everybody's out here, that you're leaning and making sure, and that's why I try my hardest, even with the hardest cases, the people that I have to argue with the most, the people that seem like they don't want this message, that I keep coming back and saying, hey, this is what you have to do. You have to register to vote. You have to start your own business, provide another economic stream, because you can't just work for the rest of your life. They trapped us in that thing to work for somebody else for the rest of your life. If you're an entrepreneur or not an entrepreneur, you need to figure out how to do that. Come to the Black Chamber, reach out to Ayinde. Ayinde does economic development. Lauren does economic development. Christian's doing that. Sylvia, like all the people here can help you actually go to that next level. And then sometimes it's just scary because you haven't done it. But when you do it, then you'll realize how maybe it is something you want to do, and maybe it's not, but that's okay on either course.
Yeah, I agree with Arthur. I think all of us are in some way empowering and enriching, each other and the community to really like elevate and, evolve ourselves and our thoughts. And, as far as the AV Black Chamber, there's so much buying power in the African-American Black community. We have the greatest niche markets within our businesses that we have. And there's a benefit for the cities that we provide businesses in to have us there, for us to thrive because of the buying power that the African-American community has in all industries. So, the chamber, like Arthur said, is prides themselves on personal consulting, making sure that the businesses that are created are thriving, are enriched, are growing. And so, with the Peace and Love Foundation, we just kind of push and provide support for reading literacy within the education system. We host field trips to the library to support children in reading and literacy and what have you. So it's important to, connect and collaborate. Me and Anicka met really just this year, but, the profound, building that we're doing, you have to connect with people that are having the same vision. It's like the passion, the vision, the skill, if it's all working towards the same goal, go ahead and collaborate and widen your reach,
So I just want to say, just listening to you, all of you guys, you are all absolutely right. And, Arthur, you hit the nail on the head. In January of 2021, I retired from Kaiser Permanente after 21 years. 23 years. I'm taking all my years. I spent 16 of those years in management. And it makes me think about when I first got there. I worked at the call center in Corona, and I had all of these. My boss was a sister. Her boss was a sister. And one of the ladies that was the call center manager, we watched her during my career actually go from the call center manager to vice president of several Kaiser regions. And she's one of the ones that helped me to get to where I am today, because she saw things in me that I knew I could do, but I didn't really see in myself. And because of her, I ended up becoming the president of Kaiser's African American Association for 4 years. And after that term, she made me do it another 4 years, because I ended up bringing so many people in and extending the information that I had, and just really letting our sisters know we have the ability to be what we want to be. And so for my organization, through my seminars, I teach leadership. And here's the thing that author said: the removal of the beliefs that keep our people afraid of moving forward. I remove those beliefs that you cannot do anything. I hear that from people so many times. They say, oh, I can't do anything, or I don't have any talent. We have to first remove those beliefs in order to help our people, because those beliefs keep us afraid of moving forward. And I work with the SALs and the PALs, as I said, and their at-risk youth, the formerly incarcerated, and others, to help them learn the benefits of self-empowerment and evolution. And as a matter of fact, I dubbed myself the evolution of self specialist, because I have been through situations where most people wouldn't think they could make it through. And my goal is to let everybody know that that butterfly is within them. We can evolve from any situation that we've been through. And I want to help people understand that everyone can be a positive, active member of the community. I am so passionate about this, because I see so many of our young people that don't believe that they can be what God called them to be. And just thinking of Snoop Dogg and how long he didn't vote because he didn't realize that his being incarcerated and off parole allowed him to be able to vote. He thought he couldn't because he was a formerly incarcerated person. So it's the education that we have to give our people and let them know that we can't let anything hold us down. We have to evolve from any situation that we've been placed in. And that's my goal with everyone that I come across.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much, Ms. Sylvia. Definitely, I think it's all about the beliefs and how do we change folks' beliefs that have been suppressed and marginalized for so long. So you have to figure out, how do we get that? And one way that Arthur said was about actually going to talk to the folks in the community, going to listen to what their needs are. You know, we have a high poverty rate out here. It's about 22-23%. Like Arthur said, there's a huge population of foster youth, African-American infant mortality rates, all these different things that have plagued our communities. How do we fix them? And the work that you all are doing, we applaud you. But even the ones that are attending right now, we applaud you too for being out there and in the trenches and talking to the people to see change that MLK really, really wanted. I'm going to center this next question. Ayinde, I'm going to have you lead off on this, and then we'll go to the next one. But in what areas do you think that the Antelope Valley, Lancaster, Palmdale, unincorporated areas, all of the jazz, can improve regarding social and racial justice? Ayinde, you led a lot of the charge in 2020 alongside with some other young activists, Robert Fuller, Michael Thomas. I would love for us to talk about, what do you think, where do you think we can improve regarding social and racial justice, and give us some, you know, whatever you would like to go, however you like to go.
I think that our ideology, we have a lot of trouble with this idea of reimagining, because the education a lot of the times is disconnected. So education cannot impact until we first make it relative. Like, and that is very, very important. I think that may be one of the most overlooked things that we have, is when our oppression starts, it happens by way of teaching us to, one, love the oppression that we're in so that we never fight against it. And that even if we did fight against it, we wouldn't know how to do it in an effective manner. So we have to be able to understand what the system is, what we're up against, our current position, and how to get our way out of it. And then to teach that to the people, we have to make it relative to the way the people understand it. So the political system is not an easy thing to understand or to comprehend. The existence of Black people is not an easy thing to understand or comprehend, especially if you are not a part of that community. So when we are orchestrating or showing something to other people, or even aside from other people, for Black people ourselves, we don't know how the political system works. We don't know how to implement things to make the changes that we want. So we see a lot of expressions of frustration, anger, pain, and you mix that with the lack of resources that the community has, and then you see an influx of things that we then begin to criminalize and then just incarcerate the people instead of providing the solutions that we need in order to get out of it. So for me, I think the primary thing that we need to be able to do is create relative forms of education, and that means to listen to the people. A big problem in Black households, and I'll end with this, is that we'll see kids and we don't pay enough attention to kids. They'll be on their tablets and we'll say, get off that phone. There's nothing for you. Instead of saying, hey, this is a great opportunity, since this is where our children's focus are, to create something to put it on there so that we can be able to give them something where their attention and their focus already is. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just spice it up a little bit, make it shiny and put some rims on that thing, and then make it real sexy for them. And they'll like that. Then they'll be proud to ride around in something that also contributes to the progression of our community, rather than saying, take that will away from them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anybody want to chime in and add on to what Ayinde was saying? By all means.
Sure, I'll go. So I would like to, say in effect of improving is to, go into what Ayinde is saying and understanding and reimagining and doing all those things, is to understand, to not be afraid, of scary words. And I'll go into some scary words of social justice. In 2020, when we were out there, people were saying defund the police, and that really made people run to the hills and take cover, and was like, oh my God, if you defund the police, there's going to be riots at every corner, and there's going to be drive-bys that just spur up for all of a sudden. And I would like for you to just think about like what that actually means, and where has that been done? The Black community has been defunded. They've been defunded a long time ago. Crack cocaine epidemic, all of those things that defunded that community. And what happened to that community? That community then started to have more rises in violence. When it was in the 1950s, 1960s, when the bus freedom riders and everybody was going around, the actual Black community had some money. That people had cars. They were doing, they were on the bus. They were able to get to those middle income jobs that were actually blue collar work that was actually available. But as soon as those forms of defunding the healthcare system, they didn't call it defunding when they moved that budget from the hospitals to the cops, or moved that budget from the schools to somewhere else. They didn't call it the word defunding, but that's what happened. And instead of focusing on the word defunding, is to understand, how do we reallocate all of the funds so that all these communities that need the resources can actually get them. I'll leave with this, is that if it was true that the only thing you need was an abundance of cops to keep a community safe, why aren't they in rich communities? You don't see cops at every single corner in a rich community. You know why you don't see cops at every single corner in a rich community? You don't see them there because the people in those houses have resources. Now, do they have crime? Yes, because some people like to steal. There is 10% of all people that are going to always do something they're not supposed to do. But when you are actually hungry and your baby needs milk, then you're actually going to go to your neighbor and you might steal milk from them. So it's not the fact that they got cops in those communities that actually makes them safe. It's the fact that they have resources. The same thing is why the school community is the same way. School communities are funded by property tax. Property tax means that you get more money the more rich your neighborhood is. The reason that you can do that is you defund all of those schools where the minorities and a lot of people that are impoverished are going to be at. So we have to understand the words and not focus really on the words, but focus on how do we make it better for everybody? How do we make the community full and rich of resources so people feel loved and they don't want to actually go and do bad things?
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead.
I just have to chime in. I am hearing everything that Ayinde and Arthur is saying. And the way we do it is we have to meet people where they are. We have to start small. It's nice to have this panel where we discuss it, but in all honesty, we have to get out there and we have to educate our women. And I can only speak and bring it personal because I am a product of foster care. I am a teenage mother, but I am also a homeowner. I have 3 college degrees. And I say all of that to say is because when I was in poverty, and all I knew was what I seen around me, which was drug addiction, because my mother suffers from drug addiction to this day. But I met people who said, I see something in you, young girl, let me help you. And we need to do that. I cannot represent my job, but I am going to say that I'm an eligibility worker for DPSS. And in taking food stamp applications, I run across a lot of young girls that I stop what I'm doing to share a word with that young girl to tell her, baby, don't bank on Section 8. You got 1 kid, you are in the prime thing. Go get the education, because yes, we are living in, and I don't want to seem ignorant when I say this, but I'm gonna say it. We're living in the white man's land. And if you're gonna live in his land, you gotta learn to play his game. And if you wanna get out of poverty, everyone can do the small business thing. Mentally, it's not for me. But what was for me was to get an education and to secure a job that pays a livable wage, one that affords me great opportunity to promote and rise and make something better, like Sylvia said, become the butterfly. So we as a people need to come together and start hosting. Like, I met a girl, she was 20 years old in foster care. This baby didn't know how to manage her money. We need to start holding classes to teach these young people how to manage what little bit they have. You may not have a lot, but if you are paying for cable, you getting $75 nails done, then, oh, you cannot buy your baby milk because you put something not important ahead of what is important. So we need to educate our people, and I stand for that. And I know everyone may not agree, but it's the reality. If someone had not have taught me, I wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Anicka. Was there anyone else that wanted to say anything on the panel on this question? I think we're good. We're good to skip. Okay. This ties back into the last question in regards to social and racial justice. There is a common misconception that we have already achieved the dream. It has come alive. That racism is no longer prominent in our community, and that we are all equal. What is your response to this?
Well, as many of you are aware, July 21st was a memorial, almost a miracle in the county of Los Angeles, because we had one board of supervisor member decided to put a motion forward for Los Angeles County to draft an anti-racism policy agenda. It was very brave. And it was brave because it was unanimously approved by the board. All 5 board members recognized that there had been systemic racism in the county of Los Angeles and moved a board motion to address it. And one of the things that they're doing to address it is that they formed what we're calling an ARDI, Anti-Racism, Diversity, Inclusion, and we have a CEO over that, where all county departments are now mandated to look at structural racism and rewrite the policy. One of the main policies that they rewrote by acknowledging that, yes, there had been some bias, there had been some discrimination behavior against African Americans, is they rewrote our county policy of equity. And what they added to that was the ability for women of color to wear their hair, and not just us, the way that we wanted to, and not be discriminated against. Now, that was major with the passing of the Crown Act by, at that time, the Assembly member Holly J. Mitchell, who is now a Board of Supervisor member. So yes, the county has had its challenges, but one of the things that I want us all to walk away with from here today is that now there is an official motion where county departments are having to look at the structural racism and the policies are being changed. Now, the challenge we have with that, Christian, is this. Many of the community, even the employees, are not aware of these changes as they are taking place. And so that's where LACAAEA comes in, where we're trying to educate those that are members and also the community of these changes that are taking place, but we're going to continue to raise our voice. And this is the last thing I will say to that. We need to raise our voice every time that there is a board motion in this county that impact the lives of Black people wherever they live. We have 88 members of our association that live in the Antelope Valley. So the things that you guys do there is very important to us. Do LACAAEA need to do a little bit more with support there in the Antelope Valley? Yes, we do. And we have committed to doing that. So I would just like to say that, yes, racism in Los Angeles County has been acknowledged and there are changes coming, but it is through organizations such as ours that make this change a reality.
Thank you so much for that. And it even speaks to the DEI office of Palmdale, right? It acknowledges the fact that it is needed and it is necessary. And so, you know, the city of Palmdale is highlighting that and having these type of conversations and this dialogue that is so critical. You know, people think that we live in a colorblind society and that racism doesn't exist. And for some reason, it's just so hard to have this conversation out here in the Antelope Valley. I'm just going to say that. It's like, you know, we're all free. We're all doing great. You know, Obama was president. You know, racism is no longer. We had our first Black president, but it shouldn't just be the first, but there should be more. It should be a continual, you know, a continuum. And so this is something that I think is needed for us to talk about it, but also need to think about solutions and be solution oriented of consistently building this legacy for the young people that are coming after us. Is there anyone that else wanted to tackle on this in regards to colorblind, racism no longer being in our community?
I will. I want to say something. So Ella Baker said civil rights and human rights. She's a civil rights and human rights activist. And she said, until the killing of Black men, Black mothers' sons becomes as important to the rest of the country as the killing of a white mother's son, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until this happens. So we are still, as African Americans, we do not have genuine equality. We continue to live under the economic exploitation of poverty. And we have to understand as a people that some of us having does not mean that all of us have. And we also have to understand that it's not about the things, it's about the people. And when I look at some of the kids that I work with, my husband and I were the youth pastors for 10 years at Livingstone Cathedral of Worship. And I just want to give a shout out to Bishop Hearns, because there were times when I went to Bishop Hearns and I said, I need $7,000. And he said, for what? And I said, I want to take all my kids up to Big Bear and I want to rent a cabin and I want them to be able to swim. I want them to be able to play tennis. And I want to have a retreat with these kids. When I would take those kids up there, to be here an hour and a half, 2 hours away from Big Bear, and have these kids say to me, oh my God, I've never even been up here, Miss Sylvia. How can people say we've made it? We haven't made it until our kids are able to see regular everyday things and see what they can have and what they can't be and what they can be. We cannot say that we've made it. It takes all of us to make a difference for our kids. And after my 10 years as youth pastor, I had the blessing to watch several of my kids go to college, get jobs, have careers. And when they come home today, they'll come by our house, my husband and I, and see us before they go and see their parents. And their parents are like, oh, I already know they're coming to see you guys first. And their parents still thank us for the job that we did. Our job is not over. It is not over. And this is why we always say the African proverb, it takes a village. So anyone that thinks that our plight is over when we are just now learning about Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and things of that nature, they're speaking from a place of ignorance. And we have to let them know it is not over. We have begun and we're still in the midst of this, but it's not over. When you got kids that are just now, within the last 2 weeks, learning about Emmett Till, my heart breaks because we still have a long way to go. And I realized over this weekend, just listening to speeches from Dr. King, he never felt that he did enough. And so that makes me feel okay, because I feel like, oh my God, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? And, oh, sorry, you guys, my hair coming unloose. You know, it's like, it's okay to feel that way, but just keep going. And I want to say that to everybody on this panel, everybody that's listening to us, our job is not in any way done.
Absolutely. And you hit it right on the nail. About creating exposure for our young folks, creating awareness, and getting them, you know, some people have never even been out of Lancaster, Palmdale. That's the crazy part. I was a youth pastor too. I took about 20 youth to, I think it was Charlotte. It was for a conference. Never been on a plane, never stayed in the house, you know, giving them opportunities that they would have never even imagined. And I think that that goes back to the allocation of resources. You know, people are scared of defunding and canceling the contract, but it really is all about trying to figure out, create avenues for our young folks to get access to these resources that our county is not providing. That's misallocating, you know, giving it to more into police versus into the schools and education. Whole nother argument for a whole nother day. But it's just about really centering our young folks, our youth, and figuring out how will we empower them to think about themselves leaving a legacy for those that come after them. And so I want to end off on this question, then we'll go into our Q&A period. When we talk about youth, and I know you guys are all doing your work and stuff, I want you to think about our youth and any advice or suggestions to our young folks. I know we're going to do a State of Youth address next month, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about any advice and suggestions to our youth who would like to learn and get more engaged with social justice work. And even why is it even important for them to vote, to go out and learn or to educate themselves? I just want to talk, let's have a moment for our young folks real quick. So Arthur, you unmic yourself, go for it first.
I started off with trying to teach people and educating people about voting. And when I got back in 2014 from a work trip, and I think that I was afforded the opportunity to go to a lot of schools. I've been to AVC, I've been to AV Youth Build, talking to kids, and what I would do is make them vote before the workshop. Is voting important? And by the time that I got to the end, I've only had one hard no. And that hard no, I knew that he was going to be a no. Like it felt like it was going to be a no straight off the gate because he just didn't want to give any type of leeway. But the way that I do that is by telling the kids, like, who do you talk to when you feel like you were left behind in school? Like who is in charge of that? And they usually don't know, like many people. I just started to understand this in the early 2010s myself. And the people that you can vote for is the school board. The school board controls the budget. The school board controls the curriculum. I was like, you're an AV Youth Bill because it's not always about degrees. Sometimes it's about a trade. There's a lot of things that can be done to be able to teach kids, and that everybody's not the same. It can sit in the desk for 8 hours and not pay attention. I got kicked out of school, out of class tons of times because when I get bored, I talk. I mean, it should be obvious because every time that I get the chance to unmic, I'll unmic. But that's what I was in class, and I would challenge the teacher every single time. Like, no, I read that. I read the newspaper. Like, that's not what happened yesterday. And then I would get kicked out because at that time too, I was 6 foot Black kid being loud in class, and there was nowhere for me to go. So when I tell these kids that, they look around, they're like, oh, I was like, and guess who you can help? You know, you're out of school right now or about to graduate because AV Youth Bill, you can be 22 and 23, but your cousins and your brothers and all of them are still in school. You can vote as 18 years old for the elementary school board, for the high school board, for AVC, to get those resources. And every time that the majority of people then start to understand, and it's like, you need housing. Who's there to actually affect what the housing market out here? I was like, if you got 5 people on the board, on the city council, which is a board basically, 5 people on the city council, and all of them own homes, their legislation is going to lean towards home ownership. It's not going to care about rent control. You know, that's why it needs to be more people that look like you. And when I say look like you, I mean represent your needs, as in someone who rents an apartment should be elected to city council so that they can start making rules that would help out people that are in rent, that need rent control, or people that are single moms who need daycare or childcare access. That, like, you, if you have 5 men up there, sometimes they don't need that. It's not somebody being overtly anything. It's just that it is not an issue for me. And it's not going to be something I think about when I'm making that legislation. So we need to all make sure that when we are in these places to be able to elect officials, that politicians are our employees. We are the boss. And as soon as they come up due for their interview, for their evaluation period, we should fire them if they now have not done the things that they needed to do for the community. School board is misallocating funds, they need to go. Let's get another school board in there. Same thing, city council, same thing, assembly, same thing, Congress. Let's make sure to teach everyone the importance of voting. And the importance of voting is making sure that you're represented, that person is in that position representing your needs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going back to, you know, that's a thought process. Any advice or suggestions to our youth, you know, that want to learn more about being engaged in social justice work, learning about history, educating, all that jazz? Would love to get a couple more. We have about 5 minutes, so I would love to get a couple more answers from you all. Ayinde, Lauren?
I would just like to rally the youth of the Antelope Valley to stay hungry and stay teachable. Please reach out and obtain a mentor. Get someone who's experienced and educated in whatever field or passions you like. Get someone who can pour into you, and you know, and I want to also call to action the parents as well. If there's any parents listening, you know, it's yes, you train up a child in which the way they should go. So it's like, you know, you have to pour into your kids. You know, it's really about taking accountability in that sense, you know. And as far as kind of backtracking to the question in regards to has the King's dream come to fruition in the Antelope Valley? We have made change, and you know, we have treaded and gone, but there's still so much there's so much still to do, and it really is about the youth and the young people of the Antelope Valley and the community. We have to pour into them and enrich them and educate them, and like you said, financial literacy, actual literacy as well, increase the reading levels within our kids, and making sure that they're they're knowledgeable on things. And it's like, as far as the youth, you can never be too young to make a difference. Dr. King was a young man. He wasn't an old. You can never be too young. So start now, make your voice known, express yourself, and the world is your oyster. You can really, accomplish anything at any age. Yeah.
Thank you, Lauren.
I agree with Lauren. Youth, you can't wait for someone to give you a chance. If it's in your heart and it's good and it's for the greater good, you take your shot. Because Dr. King, he did take his. He didn't wait for someone to say, now, young man, here is your turn. He saw that there was wrong, injustice, and he went for it. Lauren is 100% right. I agree.
And volunteer, all these organizations, every organization represented here today would gladly take volunteers and gladly take people to come in, and to help mentor and develop. So, that's important as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Can I just add something small to that real quick? Just a direct message to the youth, if they're on here, anybody else is doing that right now, I just want to give y'all props and y'all praises. Just recently, we have one of the biggest social movements that we've ever seen within ever of history of people, as far as global impact and knowledge that is happening. And that has a direct reflection on our youth. You guys are leaders in your own right. And in the ways that you guys are able to spread messages, I say to lean towards your strengths. And if you guys have the ability to be able to go and make TikToks, if you guys have the ability to have access to your phones and talk to your friends, use the things that you guys have accessible to you, and not just the things that we're telling you guys, because this is the things that work for us. But to reach the youth, you have to be in those circles and understand what connects to those, and nobody knows that better than you guys. So I would say to get involved with who your people are and seek us for wisdom as far as how to take that information and make it relative towards the people that you want to reach it to, but use the tools that you guys have been using, because it's working and it's effective, and you guys deserve praise and honor for what you guys have been doing and the way that it's been reaching everybody else. These movements, these social media platforms, they won't be anything without you guys. You guys are the innovators, the leaders, and you guys are the trendsetters. So we want what is important to be a part of those trends. So seek us for counsel in that, but keep doing what you're doing other than that.
Thank you, Ayinde. Sylvia or Miss Grant, Miss Ellis. I don't know why I said Grant.
I just wanted to do another quote from MLK, and he said, and I posted it today on my page, he said, "Use me, God. Show me how to take who I am, who I want to be, and what I can do, and use it for a purpose greater than myself." So I say, find an organization where you feel you fit in and reach out. If you don't see that organization, create it. Like, I've been a part of the NAACP, the ACLU. As a matter of fact, we just had an event over this past weekend handing out food, and we asked for volunteers to come and do that. If you are at church, find out what groups that you have at church. But Facebook has so many different groups you can join. But just like Brother Ayinde just said, we just had the biggest movement of our time. I felt like my mom must have felt when she walked with Dr. King back in the day, being out there walking with Black Lives Matter and participating in that. So whatever you feel like your goal is, or you're interested in art, whatever it may be, find like-minded people and join those groups, or create it for yourself if you don't see it.
That's it.
And I would like to add and chime in on one thing. I don't know, I hope that we can empower our youth and give them resources, as you guys are mentioning, but many do not know, especially in the Black community, that LA County launched an initiative called Deleting the Divide. And what they're doing with that initiative, especially for youth and young adults, is offering direct access and training, technical assistance, scholarship, employment, special events, and other resources and things of that nature for the youth. They had a special program for youth in particular from the ages of 14 about 18, and they've been doing a series of events. But the challenge is every time I've went to the room at one of their events, I don't see too many of us. And that is one of the things that LACAAEA would like to try to do, is promote these opportunities and shoot it out to not only our members so that they can tell their children, but our associate members so that they can tell their children and their networks, and also our retirees who are very beneficial, very, very, very important and vital to our association because they have networks, they have mentorship and wisdom that we can lean upon. So I would encourage you all, if you're not following, I'm talking about the youth, if you're not following and are not involved with the Delete the Divide programs, where these are free scholarships, training, and because they, like someone said earlier, they're connected to the phone. Don't take it from them. Give them something else to do with it. So we would love for you to help us spread the word of these type of events and these type of opportunities to our youth. And that is one of the primary missions of the association.
I want to say one thing before we move on. Sorry, Christian. So I just want to task everyone that it starts with the old people. Put the youth in actual leadership positions, and then you'll see more youth come to your organization. That is utmost the most important thing, that because mostly old people are here, that if you can't task the youth to do it unless you start putting them in real actual positions of power so that they are able to do something and make sure that they actually bring people and can pass on that knowledge. Because like Lauren said, I'm always amazed and understanding, like, how did Dr. King was he 27, already with a doctorate, leading a whole nation and world to moving civil rights? And that, I mean, it just is amazing to me that that he was that young, and all of them were that young. John Lewis, Dr. Bernard Lafayette, Andrew Young, me, Ayinde, Christian had a good actual panel with them in 2020. They came on and discussed with us all of those things from during the era of civil rights and engagement. So voter registration, put youth in power.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then when we add young people to the boards and leadership positions, it brings another thought process. You know, we talk about diversity, but also we need diversity in our own thought processes. And so it's always good to add that too, because what happened in 1990 is not happening in 2022. What happened in 1960s not going on, was, you know what I'm saying? And so we have people that are still in those positions that, I'm sorry to say, that are outdated. Anyway, so we're gonna move forward to our Q&A moments. I would like to, we have about a room for about 2 to 3 questions. I'm gonna call upon Sky Young, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Sky Jung. I'm from the Human Rights Advisory Committee for the City of Palmdale. And I want to know, in what ways can the city and the community of Palmdale really work to make sure we have a future generation of young leaders within our community? I'm currently, throughout this meeting, I kept on thinking back. I can only count on maybe both hands the number of Black leaders we've had out of the community of the Antelope Valley. And Sylvia brought up a great mentor who actually, I wish more young people could hear his story, which is Mr. Henry Hearns. Henry's got a great story. He was son of a sharecropper, and he went all the way up to become mayor of Lancaster. And he's done great things for the community, and so is his church. But really, what can we do to really strongly address making it so more young people find it accessible to get into leadership, because speaking for myself, I was an FFA, Future Farmers, 4-H. I was a future leader, but I know my experience isn't the lived experience of the Black community and somebody else of that community. So I want to know, how can we address and get these people engaged and really out there, because
Absolutely.
that's where we're going to find leaders.
That's a great answer. Great question. I haven't answered. Anyone else want to answer real quick?
So I'll just say real quick, what we need to realize, we always look for leaders outside of the community. You have so many people working here in this community, and some of them are doing it for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to make sure that we're utilizing the people that we have here. And I'm not saying I'm this big person or anything, but I just want to share this with you. I can leave our community and I can get paid $3,500 to speak at an event. But when I come here, I'm not going to say everybody, there are people that want me to do the things that I do for little or nothing. I am always going to try and give back to my community, but we have to make sure that we are investing in, like, the people on this panel that live in this community that have these talents, and put these people in the front of our kids, because guess what? You know, people get older every day. And Bishop Hearns has trained a lot of people under him to do the things that he has done and even greater. And that's what great leaders do. You don't keep everything you have to yourself, you pass it on to others. So we need to, if we can, put the websites of everybody on this panel out there so that people can see. You have people in your realm that have done and are doing amazing work. Utilize them, but don't use them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sylvia. That was going to be my answer. Go ahead, Arthur.
I want to say, I was like Sylvia said, took it right out. I was like, I think that we, when we're in our circles and we don't see what we think we should see, that is sometimes it's stepping outside of your circles. Because I mean, I can rattle off, I mean, just 15 Black leaders' names, and we have to reframe what you mean by Black leaders. And this is no disrespect to Sky. I'm just saying that just because you're elected don't mean that you're more of a leader than the person that's not elected, that's out in the community, knocking on doors, handing out food and all those things. Now, to answer your question truthfully about how do we make more elected leaders from the Black community, it is doing this type of thing. A lot of times when you're at the bottom of every stat, and you have to work, like you have 2 jobs, and how do you fit in being in the city council, or to bring up to get enough air in order to actually understand what actual thing is going on in the city? You know, those things are really hard to do. So I think it's just understanding to be able to spread the word, understand who's out there, get those elected leaders in place who actually acknowledge leadership outside of their circles. Once you start doing that, then you're going to start to get new blood and get everybody in there.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to Youth with a Purpose and everyone else that's in here. Like you said, there's so many people that are out here doing trenches, are in the trenches, that are doing the work that we need to first fund and then also highlight, because there is that need for resources. I see that our council member Juan Carrillo's on here. We'll give him space, and then we'll end off with Doretta Thompson. You got to unmute yourself, council member. Juan, you there? I think he may not be available. Juan, okay. All right, so Doretta and then Michelle's iPad.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hey, thank you, everyone. Thank you for the invite. This has been quite an insightful meeting. Anicka, Phillips, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I just want to give you
Yes, you
some
did.
great kudos for your genuineness and your courageousness to speak the unadulterated truth. I love you, my sister. Peace to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Because
Thank
we have
you.
to be willing to speak the truth
Yes.
without sugarcoating it or placating it or anything like that. I mean, everyone else does it. We need to be able to be empowered to do that as well. I kind of wrote something as I was sitting here and I was thinking about all the discussions about, what was going on. First of all, I know that there's an ethics person on the line. And I want to address something. We want to be careful not to be divisive in any form. We don't want to divide our citizens one from another. We don't want to divide our generations one from another, because there's a plethora of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that comes with experience. And, from the environment I come from, if I use a term like call one of my employees old, that would be grounds for a EEOC complaint. Okay, and I love you, I really do. And we all, like you all say, must learn and grow together. And we have the best intentions, but we have to be careful not to undermine one group for the sake of another group. Together we stand, divided we fall. And that is the unadulterated truth. And with that, I want to say this in terms of our parents. As a board member, I've sat on the Eastside Union School District Board for the last 9 years, up against opposition and all types of perils. But yet I stand, still I rise.
That's good.
Phenomenally.
Mr. Redder, do you have a question? Are we making
Yeah,
comments?
no, I have a statement.
Okay.
Because I made a statement. And I'm so sorry that not everybody can appreciate my approach, but we've listened to a lot. But thank you. Let me just state my quote, and then I'm gonna let everybody be done. Thank you for all the support and all the efforts. But this is what I'm gonna say. Failing school systems, drugs, etc., taught us how to devalue the importance of acknowledging our parents. Former traumas. Our parents have traumas. They're the victims of the crack epidemics and, we're on drugs and all of that. And we have to be careful not to predicate speeches that support our children further devaluing and disrespecting their parents, but understanding the traumas that their parents have gone through so that we can encourage and educate them on how to best be the solution. I am the proud mother of a mother who was drug addicted and now sober as well, Miss Anicka. So thank you for your story. I'd like to meet with you and have further discussions. Everyone have a pleasant evening. Together we stand, divided we fall.
That's good.
Thank you, Mr. Redder.
Appreciate it. All right, we have a lot planned for the next couple of months, 3 months, 4 months, or well, actually a whole year. And so I want to say thank you to all of the panelists, to those that attended today. Excellent job, excellent conversation. I think that this is the start of something critical. I know we've all dropped our information into the chat. Please, panelists, send your emails, drop it in the chat. But at this time, I want to give it over to Ms. Patricia and then Wafika. It's in your hands. Thank you for allowing me to moderate. And let's keep building and let's make make change happen. Thank you all.
Thank you, panelists. Great conversation. Thank you all the participants for being here. It says a lot. When we were planning an hour and we're going at an hour and a half, and I think we could have gone longer. Okay, so I think all I want to say is that we are the City of Palmdale, through community programs, are planning a lot of different activities for the next 6 months. I'm encouraged by the enthusiasm in our participants, the enthusiasm from our panelists. And if you out there want to connect, whether it be with these organizations or you have a great idea and you would like to connect, the City of Palmdale Community Programs is out here and we want to participate. I believe that our goal as community programs is to showcase the power, the talent, the resources in our community and bring it forth to our community. So if you want to do that, please join us at any of our events. Join us, call us, reach out to us. We'll have all these information from all the people and the panelists today. So if you have further questions, please reach out. This is the first step of many steps and the conversation is just getting started. Thank you for participating today. Thank you, panelists.
Thank you, everyone. I can say that twice. I can say that an infinite amount of times. It will never be enough. I appreciate you all so much for coming out. Just addressing a couple of things. I know a lot of you all were asking in the chat, how can I get it connected with our panelists because they were amazing? How can I join all of these organizations? How can I learn more? Do not worry. I am compiling a list of their contact information, their social media, how to get involved with them, and I'll be sending out to everyone who registered for this event. We'll also be sharing as much as we can through our social media on through the City of Palmdale. So look forward to that. I'll be working with our communications department. I also will be sharing the recording of this so folks can watch it back later, especially for those who are unable to attend today. And also to affirm our panelists, I hear y'all. You should not be doing this work for free. We've been doing this work for free for too long. I will keep this in mind for next year. So with that, everyone, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you all so much for sticking it out and with dealing with our technical difficulties. Thank you so much. And with that, we are done. Have a great day, everyone. If our panelists can hang out for just 1 minute, that would be great. But everyone, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Martin Luther King Day. Y'all are so cool.